I should have seen it coming. Looking back now, all the signs were there, flashing like neon warnings in the darkness. But when you're in love, when you're planning the happiest day of your life, you don't want to believe that someone would actually try to destroy it. Especially not his mother. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how my mother-in-law tried to ruin my wedding. But it's also the story of how I almost let her. It started 6 months before the big day. My fiancé, Michael, and I had just gotten engaged on a beach in Maui. The sunset was perfect, the ring was perfect, everything was perfect. We flew back home, floating on cloud 9, ready to share our joy with the people we loved most. That's when I met Patricia. Michael had always been vague about his mother. He'd mention her in passing, change the subject when I asked too many questions. I thought maybe they just weren't close. Some families are like that, right? But the truth was so much more complicated. The first time I walked into her house, I felt it. That chill in the air that has nothing to do with temperature. Patricia opened the door, and her smile didn't reach her eyes. She looked me up and down like I was something she'd found stuck to her shoe. "So you're the one," she said, her voice dripping with something I couldn't quite name yet. "Come in, I suppose." Michael squeezed my hand. I squeezed back, trying to ignore the knot forming in my stomach. The house was immaculate. Not lived in immaculate, but museum immaculate. White couches that looked like they'd never been sat on. Glass tables without a single fingerprint. Family photos in expensive frames, all perfectly aligned. And in every single one, Patricia stood next to Michael, her hand possessively on his shoulder. "Michael tells me you're a teacher," Patricia said, settling into her pristine armchair like a queen on a throne. The way she said teacher made it sound like I'd told her I collected garbage for a living. "Yes, 2nd grade," I replied, trying to keep my voice cheerful. "I love working with kids." "How noble." She sipped her tea, pinky extended. "Michael could have been a doctor, you know. He had the grades. But he chose accounting instead." The accusation in her tone was clear, as if I had somehow traveled back in time and influenced his career choice. Michael shifted uncomfortably beside me. "Mom, we've talked about this." "Have we?" Patricia's eyes never left mine. "I just want what's best for my son. Any mother would understand that. Do you understand that, Sarah?" I nodded, my throat suddenly dry. "Good." She smiled then, but it was the smile of a predator. "Now, let's talk about this wedding of yours." And that's when it really began. Patricia had opinions. About everything. The venue was too casual. The date was inconvenient. The guest list was too large. Or too small. She changed her mind daily. She insisted on being involved in every decision, but shot down every idea I presented. "Roses? How common," she'd say. Or, "That shade of blue makes everyone look washed out." Or my personal favorite, "Well, if you want your wedding to look cheap, by all means." Michael tried to run interference. "Mom, it's Sarah's day," he'd say, but Patricia would just laugh. "It's our family's day, darling. And family has standards." I tried to be understanding. I really did. I read articles about difficult in-laws, talked to married friends who assured me this was normal. "Just smile and nod," they said. "Pick your battles." So I smiled. I nodded. I let her have her way on the small things. The tablecloths. The font on the invitations. The type of champagne at the reception. But with every concession, Patricia's demands grew larger. She wanted to approve my dress. She wanted veto power over the bridesmaids. She wanted to give a speech at the reception, and not just any speech, but the speech right after the ceremony. "It's tradition for the groom's mother to welcome the bride into the family," she insisted. I looked to Michael. He looked exhausted. We'd been fighting more lately, always about his mother. I could see the toll it was taking on him, the way he withdrew a little more each time we had this conversation. "Fine," I heard myself say. "You can give a speech." Patricia's smile was triumphant. "Wonderful. I'll make it very special. Very memorable." I should have paid attention to that pause. I should have heard the threat hidden in her words. But I was too busy trying to keep the peace, trying to be the perfect future daughter-in-law. 3 months before the wedding, things escalated. I came home from work one day to find 12 voicemails from Patricia. 12. Each one more urgent than the last. I called her back, my hands shaking. "Thank God," she breathed dramatically. "I've been trying to reach you for hours. We have a crisis." "What's wrong? Is Michael okay?" "The venue," she said, her voice sharp. "They called me today. Apparently, there's been a double booking. They can't accommodate us on your date." My heart stopped. "What?" "But we have a contract. We put down a deposit." Yes, well, these things happen. But don't worry, I've already found an alternative. An alternative? The Grandview Estate. It's where I've always dreamed Michael would get married. I've already put down a deposit to hold it. You're welcome. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Patricia, you can't just change our venue without asking us. Well, someone had to act quickly. These premium locations don't stay available. And really, Sarah, the place you chose was so pedestrian. I took a deep breath, counted to 10. I need to talk to Michael about this. Of course. But the deposit is non-refundable, and they need a decision by Friday. I'm sure Michael will understand that I was just trying to help. When Michael got home, I was crying. Not delicate tears, but ugly, heaving sobs. The kind that come from deep frustration and mounting panic. He held me as I explained. His jaw tightened. She did what? I can't do this anymore, I sobbed. I can't fight her on everything. This is supposed to be the happiest time of our lives, and I'm miserable. Michael was quiet for a long moment. I'll handle this. He called his mother that night. I could only hear his side of the conversation, but his voice was firmer than I'd ever heard it with her. No, Mom. No. That's not acceptable. I don't care what you've already paid. Patricia, stop. Mom. The silence on his end was deafening. When he finally spoke again, his voice was cold. Cancel it. Cancel the venue, or I'll sue them for breach of contract and you for harassment. We're getting married at the venue we chose, the one Sarah and I both love. And if you can't respect our decisions, maybe you shouldn't come at all. He hung up. We sat in silence. She's going to hate me forever now, I whispered. Michael pulled me close. She doesn't hate you. She has a hard time letting go. But he was wrong. Patricia didn't have a hard time letting go. She had a hard time losing control. And I was about to find out just how far she'd go to get it back. The next morning, I woke up to 47 text messages. Not from Patricia, but from my bridesmaids, my mother, my aunt Michael's cousins, even my own grandmother. All saying the same thing. Is it true? I can't believe it. Are you really doing that? My hands trembled as I opened the group chat. Someone had forwarded a message. From Patricia. Dear family and friends, it read. It is with a heavy heart that I must share some difficult news about Michael and Sarah's upcoming wedding. After much prayer and consideration, I want you all to know the truth about the situation we're facing. Sarah has been making unreasonable demands and excluding family from important decisions. She's even threatened to uninvite me, Michael's own mother, from the ceremony. I've tried to be supportive, but I fear she's not ready for marriage. Please keep Michael in your prayers during this difficult time. I stared at my phone, reading the message again and again, unable to believe what I was seeing. She'd sent it to everyone. Everyone. Over 200 people. All of our wedding guests, family members, Michael's colleagues, even my work friends somehow. And she was painting me as the villain. My phone rang. It was my mother. Mom, it's not true, none of it's. I know, sweetheart. I know. But you need to fix this. People are talking. People were talking. People were taking sides. People were canceling their RSVPs. And Patricia? Patricia wasn't answering her phone. I looked at Michael, who was reading the same messages, his face pale with shock. What do we do? I asked. He didn't answer. He just stared at his phone, at the message from his mother that was busy destroying everything we'd built. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. This wasn't about a wedding anymore. This was war. And Patricia had just fired the first shot. The week after Patricia's mass message was the longest of my life. Every hour brought new drama, new accusations, new problems I never could have imagined. Michael tried calling his mother 47 times. She didn't answer once. Instead, she sent him a single text message. When you're ready to have an adult conversation about your future, I'll be here. Love, Mom. As if she was the reasonable one. As if she hadn't just attempted to destroy my reputation to everyone we knew. My principal called me into her office on Tuesday. Mrs. Henderson was usually warm and friendly, but that day her expression was grave. Sarah, I need to ask you about something, she said carefully. I received a concerning message about your upcoming wedding. My stomach dropped. From Patricia Henderson? She nodded slowly. She's expressed some worries about your emotional stability. Says you've been under a lot of stress, making erratic decisions. She's suggesting you might need some time off. I felt the blood drain from my face. She contacted my employer? She said she was concerned about the children in your care. Mrs. Henderson held up her hand. I don't believe for a second that there's any issue with your teaching. You're one of our best. But I needed to address it officially. Are you doing okay, Sarah? Really? That's when the tears came. Not sad tears this time, but tears of rage. Pure, undiluted fury. I'm being sabotaged, I said, my voice shaking. By my future mother-in-law. Because I won't let her control every aspect of my wedding. Mrs. Henderson's expression softened. Oh honey, I've seen this before. My own mother-in-law tried something similar 30 years ago. Some women see their sons' wives as competition, not family. What did you do? She smiled grimly. I uninvited her. Best decision I ever made. But I couldn't uninvite Patricia. Could I? She was Michael's mother. No matter how horrible she was being, she was still the woman who raised the man I loved. When I got home that evening, I found Michael sitting in the dark, staring at his laptop. She's done something else, he said quietly. I didn't want to ask. I really didn't want to ask. What now? He turned the screen toward me. It was our wedding website, the one we'd set up for guests to RSVP and find information about hotels and the schedule. Only now the homepage was completely different. Where our engagement photos used to be, there was now a collage of pictures of Patricia and Michael. Patricia holding baby Michael. Patricia at Michael's graduation. Patricia and Michael at his college acceptance celebration. Picture after picture of just the two of them, with a caption that made my blood boil. A mother's love never fades. Our carefully written About Us section had been replaced with something new. Michael Henderson, beloved son of Patricia Henderson, will be entering into marriage on June 14th. Please join us in supporting him during this new chapter of his life. Notice something missing? My name. My entire existence had been erased from my own wedding website. How did she even get access? I breathed. Michael's jaw was tight. I made the mistake of telling her the password last month. She said she wanted to check the hotel information to give to her relatives. I sat down heavily on the couch. Michael, this has to stop. She's not just being difficult anymore. She's actively trying to destroy this wedding. She's trying to destroy me. I know. His voice was hollow. I've been sitting here for 2 hours trying to figure out what to do. Part of me wants to call off the whole thing. Just elope. Get married at a courthouse and be done with it. Is that what you want? He turned to look at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Defeat. Complete and total defeat. I want my mother to be normal. I want her to be happy for me. I want her to love you the way I do. His voice cracked. But that's never going to happen, is it? I moved closer to him, took his hands in mine. Tell me the truth, Michael. Has she always been like this? He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. When I was in college, I dated a girl named Emma. Sweet, smart, studying to be a veterinarian. I thought she was the one. He paused, staring at our joined hands. Mom hated her. Said she wasn't good enough, wasn't pretty enough, wasn't from the right kind of family. She made Emma's life hell. Called her at all hours, showed up at her dorm, sent her letters telling her she was ruining my life. What happened? Emma left me. Said she couldn't handle the pressure anymore. Said dating me meant signing up for a lifetime of Patricia's interference, and she wasn't strong enough for that. He looked up at me, his eyes wet. I told myself the next time would be different. I told myself I'd set boundaries, stand up to my mother, protect the woman I loved. And I'm failing at that, aren't I? I wanted to tell him he wasn't. I wanted to comfort him, to say everything would be okay. But we both knew the truth. Patricia was winning, and we were falling apart. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every interaction with Patricia in my mind. Every subtle insult. Every manipulation. Every boundary crossed. At 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Patricia. We need to talk. Just us. Woman to woman. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Rosewood Cafe. Come alone. I stared at the message. Every instinct told me it was a trap. But another part of me, the part that was exhausted from fighting, that desperately wanted resolution, thought maybe this was a chance for peace. I texted back, I'll be there. The next day dragged by. My second graders could sense my distraction. Are you okay, Miss Sarah? Little Emma Rodriguez asked during reading time. You seem sad. I'm fine, sweetie, I lied. Just thinking about grown-up stuff. My mommy says grown-up stuff is usually just people being silly and not talking to each other, she said with the wisdom only a 7-year-old can possess. Your mommy is very smart. At 1:45 p.m., I walked into Rosewood Cafe. Patricia was already there, sitting at a corner table, perfectly dressed in a cream-colored suit, her hair immaculate, her makeup flawless. She looked like she was about to attend a board meeting, not a coffee chat. She didn't smile when she saw me, just gestured to the empty seat across from her. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "I wasn't sure you would. You said we needed to talk." "We do." She folded her hands on the table. "Sarah, I'm going to be honest with you because I think you deserve that much. This couldn't be good." "I don't like you," Patricia continued, her voice matter of fact. "I don't think you're right for my son. I don't think you understand what it means to be part of our family." I opened my mouth to respond, but she held up a hand. "Let me finish. I've watched Michael since he was born. I've sacrificed everything for him. Do you know what it's like to be a single mother? His father left when Michael was 3. I raised that boy alone. I put myself through hell to give him every opportunity. I am the reason he's successful. I am the reason he's the man he is today. I understand that," I said carefully. "And I respect everything you've done for him. Do you?" Her eyes were sharp. "Because from where I'm sitting, you're trying to erase me. You're trying to cut me out of his life." "That's not true. I've never. Every decision you make pushes me further away. Every boundary you set is another wall between me and my son. You want him all to yourself." "I want him to be happy," I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "I want us to be happy. And your constant interference is making that impossible." Patricia's laugh was bitter. "My interference? Is that what you call a mother caring about her son's future?" "I call it sabotage," I shot back. "Sending that message to everyone we know? Hacking our wedding website? Contacting my employer? That's not caring, Patricia. That's psychological warfare." Her expression didn't change. "I did what I had to do to protect my son." "From what? From being loved? From being happy? From making the biggest mistake of his life?" The words hung in the air between us like poison. I took a deep breath, trying to control my shaking hands. "What do you want from me, Patricia? Really? Because I can't keep doing this. Either we find a way to coexist, or what?" She leaned forward, her eyes glittering. "You'll take my son away from me completely? Turn him against his own mother? I don't want to take him away from you. I never did. I just want you to let him live his own life." Patricia was quiet for a moment, studying me like I was a specimen under a microscope. When she finally spoke, her voice was different. Softer. Almost sad. "When Michael was little, he used to have nightmares. He'd come running into my room in the middle of the night, crying about monsters under his bed. And I'd hold him and tell him that as long as I was there, nothing could hurt him. That I would always protect him." She paused, her eyes distant. "He stopped having nightmares when he turned 8. But I never stopped wanting to protect him. Even from himself. Even from his own bad decisions." "I'm not a bad decision," I said quietly. "I love him. So do I. The difference is, my love has been there for 32 years. Yours has been there for 2. Which love do you think is stronger?" I didn't have an answer to that. Patricia reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. She slid it across the table to me. "What's this?" "Open it." With trembling fingers, I opened the envelope. Inside was a check, made out to me, for $50,000. I stared at it, not understanding. "What is this?" "That's for you to go away," Patricia said calmly. "Cancel the wedding. Tell Michael you've realized you're not ready. Move to another state. Start fresh. That money will help you do it." I looked up at her, shocked. "You're trying to bribe me? I'm offering you an exit. A clean break. You take that money, you walk away, and everyone moves on with their lives. You're insane. I'm practical." She took a sip of her coffee, completely unbothered. "Sarah, this isn't going to work. You and Michael, this wedding, this marriage. It's doomed. I'll make sure of that. Every day of your life with him will be a battle with me. Every holiday, every birthday, every milestone, I will be there, making you miserable. Is that really what you want? Years of this?" My hands were shaking so hard I could barely hold the check. "Michael loves me. Michael loves the idea of you. But when it comes down to it, when he has to choose between his mother and his wife, who do you think he'll pick? I raised him. I know him better than anyone. And I know that deep down, he'll always choose me." I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. People turned to look. "You're wrong," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "You're wrong about him, and you're wrong about us." I ripped the check in half. Then in half again. I let the pieces flutter onto the table like confetti. I'm not going anywhere, Patricia. You're going to have to try harder than that. I turned to walk away, but her voice stopped me. Oh, Sarah? She was smiling now. Really smiling. I haven't even begun to try yet. What you've seen so far. Consider that the warm-up. I walked out of that cafe with my head held high, but inside I was terrified. Because I believed her. Patricia wasn't done. Not even close. When I got home, Michael was waiting for me. Where were you? I've been calling. Meeting with your mother. His face went pale. What? Why didn't you tell me? She asked me to come alone. I collapsed onto the couch. Michael, she offered me $50,000 to leave you. She what? I told him everything. The conversation, the check, the threats. As I spoke, I watched his face go through a series of emotions. Shock, anger, disbelief, and finally something that looked like grief. When I finished, he sat down beside me, his head in his hands. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Sarah, I'm so sorry. I need you to do something for me, I said. I need you to talk to her. Really talk to her. Tell her that this ends now, or we cut her out completely. No half measures, no compromises. She needs to know there are consequences. I will. Tomorrow. I'll go there tomorrow and... No. I cut him off. Tonight. Now. This can't wait anymore. He looked at me for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. Tonight. He stood up, grabbed his keys, and headed for the door. But before he left, he turned back. No matter what happens, no matter what she says or does, I choose you. Always. You need to know that. I hope that's true, I said. Because I think we're about to find out. He left. And I sat alone in our apartment, watching the clock tick by. 1 hour passed. Then 2. Then 3. At 11 p.m., my phone rang. It was Michael. Sarah. His voice was strange. Shaken. What happened? Are you okay? Can you come to my mother's house? Right now? Michael, what's going on? Just please come. There's something you need to see. The drive to Patricia's house took 20 minutes, but it felt like hours. Every terrible scenario ran through my mind. What could possibly have happened? What had Patricia done now? When I pulled up, Michael was standing in the driveway, illuminated by the porch light. His face was pale, his eyes red. Michael? I got out of the car, my heart pounding. What's wrong? He didn't speak. Just took my hand and led me into the house. The living room looked like a shrine. But not to Michael's childhood. No, this was something far more disturbing. Every surface was covered with photos. But not old photos. Recent photos. Of Michael and me. Photos of us at restaurants I didn't remember anyone taking. Photos of us walking down the street. Photos of us through our apartment window. Photos of us at the grocery store, at the gym, at my school. Hundreds of them. And in the center of it all, on Patricia's pristine white couch, was a wedding dress. My wedding dress. The one I'd ordered from a boutique 3 months ago. The one that had been stored at the shop for alterations. But it wasn't white anymore. Someone had taken red paint, or was that blood? And splattered it all over the delicate lace. Across the bodice, down the train, everywhere. On top of the ruined dress was a note in elegant handwriting. You'll never wear this. He'll never be yours. I'll make sure of that. You should have taken the money. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Could only stare at the evidence of Patricia's obsession, her surveillance, her complete and total breakdown. Where is she? I managed to whisper. I don't know, Michael said, his voice hollow. She's not here. I came over to confront her, and I found this. All of this. Sarah, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know it had gotten this bad. I walked slowly through the room, looking at each photo. Some were weeks old. Some looked like they'd been taken yesterday. She'd been watching us. Stalking us. For months. We need to call the police, I said. I already did. They're on their way. I picked up one of the photos. It was of me and Michael kissing in our kitchen. Through our window. I felt violated in a way I'd never experienced before. I knew she was controlling, Michael said, his voice breaking. I knew she had trouble letting go. But this is psychotic, I finished. This is psychotic. Sirens approached in the distance. Red and blue lights began to flicker through the windows. And I realized that this wasn't just about a ruined wedding anymore. This was about safety. About protection. About the fact that my future mother-in-law wasn't just difficult. She was dangerous. And we had no idea where she was. The police officers stood in Patricia's living room, their faces grave as they documented everything. Officer Martinez, a woman in her 40s with kind eyes that had clearly seen too much, took my statement while her partner, Officer Chun, photographed the walls of surveillance photos. How long has this behavior been going on? Officer Martinez asked, her pen poised over her notepad. Months, I said, my voice sounding distant even to my own ears. But it was just verbal stuff, you know? Boundary issues. I never thought that she was stalking you, Officer Martinez finished gently. Ms. Coleman, this goes beyond a family dispute. These photos, the vandalism of your property, this is criminal behavior. Michael was pacing by the window, his phone pressed to his ear. Mom, please pick up. Please. We need to talk. Call me back. He'd left 17 voicemails. Patricia hadn't answered once. Officer Chen walked over, his expression troubled. Mr. Henderson, do you have any idea where your mother might have gone? Michael shook his head helplessly. Her car's not in the garage. I've called her friends, her sister. No one's heard from her since this morning. This morning. I spoke up. But I met with her at 2 p.m. Everyone turned to look at me. You met with her today? Officer Martinez's tone sharpened. Where? Rosewood Cafe. She texted me, asked me to meet her. I swallowed hard. She offered me money to leave Michael. When I refused, she threatened me. Told me she hadn't even begun to try yet. Officer Chun and Officer Martinez exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. What? I demanded. What is that look? Officer Martinez sighed. Ms. Coleman, we need you to think very carefully. During this meeting, did she say anything that might indicate what she was planning? Anything that seemed off, even for her? I closed my eyes, trying to remember. Patricia's words echoed in my mind. She said something about how every day of my life with Michael would be a battle. That she'd be there at every holiday, every birthday, every milestone, making me miserable. And then she said, my eyes snapped open. She said I'd see what she was really capable of. Did she specify what she meant by that? No, but the way she said it. I looked at Michael, fear rising in my chest. It sounded like she had something planned. Officer Chen was already on his radio, calling for additional units. We need to issue a bolo for Patricia Henderson. Possible emotional disturbance, potential threat to others. Wait, Michael interjected, his face panicked. You're treating my mother like a criminal. Sir, Officer Martinez said firmly but not unkindly. Your mother has been stalking you and your fiancé. She's destroyed property. She's made threats. And now she's missing, possibly in an unstable state of mind. We need to find her before this situation escalates further. Escalates. I felt lightheaded. Escalates to what? No one answered, but the silence was louder than words. Officer Martinez turned to me. Is there anywhere Patricia might go? Anywhere she considers significant? A family property? A special location? I was about to say I didn't know when something clicked in my memory. The wedding venue. Oh my God, the wedding venue. What about it? Michael moved closer to me. When she tried to change our venue, she said the Grandview estate was where she'd always dreamed you'd get married. She said it like it meant something. Like she'd been planning it for years. Officer Martinez was already moving toward the door. What's the address of your venue? The Riverside Garden Estate, Michael said, pulling out his phone to find the address. But our wedding isn't for another 2 weeks. There's nothing there now. Call them, Officer Chen ordered. Make sure everything's secure. Michael dialed, his hands shaking. After 3 rings, someone answered. Hi, this is Michael Henderson. I have a wedding scheduled for June 14th. I need to. Yes, I'll hold. He looked at us, his face pale. They're checking something. The seconds stretched into an eternity. Then Michael's expression changed to one of horror. What do you mean the locks were broken? When? Is everything? He closed his eyes. Is everything okay? The decorations? His jaw clenched. I see. We're coming over now. Don't touch anything. The police are with us. He lowered the phone, and I saw that his hands were trembling. She's been there, he said hollowly. Someone broke in tonight. The night manager discovered it 20 minutes ago. He had to force the words out. She's destroyed everything. The chairs, the tables, the archway we were going to use for the ceremony. All of it. Destroyed. I couldn't process what I was hearing. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. There's more, Michael continued, his voice breaking. She left a message. Spray painted on the wall of the reception hall. What did it say? Officer Martinez asked. Michael looked at me, tears streaming down his face. No wedding. No wife. He's mine. The drive to the venue was silent except for the sound of police sirens. Officer Martinez and Officer Chen led the way in their patrol car, while Michael and I followed in his truck. I kept trying to process what was happening, but my brain couldn't seem to catch up with reality. This was Patricia, Michael's mother, the woman who'd raised him, who'd supposedly sacrificed everything for him. And she'd just committed multiple felonies to stop our wedding. Sarah, Michael said quietly, not taking his eyes off the road. Whatever you want to do, I'll support it. If you want to postpone the wedding, cancel it, walk away from all of this. I'll understand. Is that what you want? I asked. I want you to be safe. I want you to be happy. His voice cracked. I want my mother to be normal. But that's not going to happen, is it? She's not going to suddenly wake up and be okay with this. No, I said softly. I don't think she is. My whole life, I knew something was off. The way she'd react when I'd date someone. The way she'd find reasons to disapprove of every woman I brought home. But I told myself it was just normal mom stuff, you know? Being protective. Being careful. I didn't want to see it for what it really was. What was it? He was quiet for a long moment. Obsession. She's obsessed with me. With the idea of me. I'm not her son, I'm her possession. Something she owns and controls. And you threaten that control. We pulled into the venue's parking lot. The Riverside Garden Estate was beautiful even at night, with its sprawling gardens and elegant event hall lit up by strategic landscape lighting. Or it had been beautiful. Now, police lights bathed everything in harsh red and blue. The night manager, a woman named Gloria, stood by the entrance, wringing her hands. I'm so sorry, she said as we approached. I only left for an hour to go get dinner. When I came back, the side door was forced open. I called the police immediately. Officer Martinez nodded. You did the right thing. Can you show us? We followed Gloria through the main entrance, down an elegant hallway lined with photographs of happy couples on their wedding days. Each smile felt like a mockery now. When we entered the reception hall, I gasped. It looked like a tornado had torn through it. The beautiful mahogany chairs we'd selected were overturned, many with legs broken off. The tables were gouged and scratched. The fabric draping we'd so carefully chosen was shredded, hanging in strips from the ceiling like ghosts. But the worst part was the wall. In huge red letters, spray painted across the pristine white surface, were the words Michael had mentioned. N.O. wedding. No wife. He's mine. And below it, in smaller letters, Death do us part, Michael. Only death. I felt my knees buckle. Michael caught me, but he was shaking too. She's completely lost it, he whispered. This is a threat. Mr. Henderson. Officer Chen called from across the room. You need to see this. We walked over carefully, avoiding the debris scattered across the floor. Officer Chen was standing near the destroyed archway where Michael and I were supposed to have exchanged our vows. He was pointing at something with his flashlight. More photos. But these weren't surveillance photos. These were wedding photos. From a wedding that never happened. Patricia had photoshopped herself into a wedding dress, standing next to Michael in a tuxedo. There were dozens of them, arranged like a display at a reception. Patricia and Michael cutting a cake. Patricia and Michael's first dance. Patricia and Michael walking down the aisle. In every photo where I should have been, there was Patricia. Oh God, I breathed. She's imagining herself as the bride. Officer Martinez was already on her phone, speaking urgently. We need a psychiatric evaluation team standing by. Yes, I understand. The subject is delusional and potentially dangerous. We need to find her now. Michael sank into one of the few chairs still standing. This is my fault. I should have seen this years ago. I should have gotten her help. This isn't your fault, I said, crouching beside him. But even as I said it, I wondered if it was true. If he'd set boundaries earlier, if he'd recognized the signs, would we be here now? Sir, Officer Chen approached us. We need to ask you both to stay somewhere safe tonight. Do you have somewhere you can go? Family? Friends? My parents' house, I said. They live about 40 minutes away. Good. Pack a bag and go there tonight. Don't go back to your apartment alone. You think she'd come after us? Michael asked, his voice hollow. Officer Chen and Officer Martinez exchanged another one of those looks. Mr. Henderson, Officer Martinez said carefully, your mother is exhibiting signs of erotomania. Erota what? It's a delusional disorder where someone believes another person is in love with them. Usually it manifests with celebrities or public figures. But in rare cases, it can involve family members. The delusion often includes the belief that the loved one is being prevented from expressing their true feelings by some external force or person. The realization hit me like a physical blow. She thinks I'm the obstacle. She thinks if I'm gone, Michael will. Will what? Marry her? Officer Martinez's expression was grim. The photos suggest she's constructed an elaborate fantasy where she's in a romantic relationship with her son. This is a serious psychiatric emergency. People with this disorder can become violent when their delusions are threatened. We need to find her, Michael said, standing abruptly. Before she hurts herself or someone else, Officer Chen finished. We have units searching now. Her credit cards, her phone, everything is being tracked. We'll find her. But I had a terrible feeling we wouldn't find her in time. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. With shaking hands, I opened it. You should have taken the money, Sarah. Now you've left me no choice. Tell Michael I love him. Tell him everything I do for us. It's her. I showed the phone to the officers. She just texted me. Officer Martinez immediately called it in. Can you trace this number? Good. Yes, keep me updated. My phone buzzed again. Another text. This time it was a photo. Of our apartment building. Patricia was there. Right now. She's at our apartment. Michael grabbed his keys, but Officer Chen stopped him. Sir, you can't go there. That's exactly what she wants. My home. She's at my home. And we'll send units there immediately, Officer Martinez assured him. But you and Ms. Coleman need to get somewhere safe. Now. My phone buzzed a third time. I didn't want to look, but I couldn't help myself. The photo was of our front door. Patricia's hand was visible in the frame, holding something that glinted in the hallway light. Keys. She had keys to our apartment. She has keys, I said, my voice barely audible. She can get in. Michael's face went white. I gave her a spare set. Months ago. In case of emergencies. We need to go, Officer Chen said urgently. Right now. We'll have officers at your apartment in 3 minutes, but you two need to leave this venue immediately. We ran to Michael's truck. As we pulled out of the parking lot, I looked back at the Riverside Garden Estate, at the place where I was supposed to have had the happiest day of my life. Instead, it looked like a crime scene. Because that's what it was. The drive to my parents' house was terrifying. Every car behind us looked like it might be Patricia. Every shadow seemed threatening. Michael drove 20 miles over the speed limit, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. She's been in our home, I said, the reality sinking in. With keys. She could have done anything. Planted cameras, gone through our things. Don't, Michael said. Don't think about it right now. But how could I not think about it? Our privacy, our safety, our entire sense of security had been violated by the woman who was supposed to become family. My phone rang. Officer Martinez. Ms. Coleman, we're at your apartment. The door was unlocked, but Ms. Henderson isn't here. However, there's evidence she was. We need you to know. You can't come back here tonight. Maybe not for several days. What did she do? Officer Martinez hesitated. We're documenting everything. For now, just get somewhere safe. I'll call you with updates. She hung up before I could ask more questions. That's how I knew it was bad. Really bad. When we pulled into my parents' driveway, I'd never been so relieved to see their modest suburban home. The porch light was on, and through the window, I could see my mom and dad moving around in the kitchen. Normal. Everything here was normal. We knocked, and my mother opened the door, her face immediately creasing with worry. Sarah? Michael? What's wrong? It's almost midnight. We told them everything. Every detail, from the beginning to tonight's horror show. My father, a normally calm and measured man, got progressively redder as we spoke. That woman needs to be in jail, he said when we finished. Or a mental hospital. Or both. The police are looking for her, Michael said tiredly. They'll find her. My mother made us tea, bustling around the kitchen in that way mothers do when they're trying to fix things that can't be fixed with food and comfort. You'll stay here as long as you need. We have the guest room made up, and Michael, we can set up the couch for you. Thank you, Mrs. Coleman, Michael said, but his voice was distant. He'd been getting quieter and quieter since we left the venue. At 2 a.m., Officer Martinez called again. We found her, she said, and I heard something in her voice that made my blood run cold. She's at Mercy General Hospital. What happened? Is she okay? She's alive. She tried to take her own life. Pills. Someone in your apartment building heard her crying through your door and called 911. The paramedics got there in time. I didn't know what to feel. Relief that she was alive? Anger that even this was a manipulation? Fear for what came next. Can we see her? Michael asked when I told him. He'd taken the phone from my hand. Not tonight. She's being evaluated. But Mr. Henderson, you should know. When the paramedics found her, she was wearing a wedding dress. In your apartment. She'd set up candles, flowers, music. She was staging her own wedding. To you. Michael's face crumbled. He handed the phone back to me and walked out onto my parents' back porch. Through the window, I watched him sink onto the steps, his head in his hands, his shoulders shaking. Officer Martinez, I said quietly. What happens now? She'll be held for psychiatric evaluation. 72 hours minimum. After that, it depends on the doctor's assessment. There will be charges filed for the vandalism, the breaking and entering, the stalking. But given her mental state, she'll likely be remanded to a psychiatric facility rather than jail. And us? Are we safe? For now, yes. But Ms. Coleman, I have to be honest with you. Even with treatment, this kind of delusion doesn't always go away. You and Mr. Henderson need to think very seriously about your future. About whether this relationship is worth the danger. After she hung up, I sat in my childhood kitchen, surrounded by photos of birthday parties and graduations and family vacations. Evidence of a normal, happy childhood. Everything Patricia should have given Michael but didn't. My mother sat down beside me, taking my hand. What are you going to do? She asked softly. I don't know, Mom. I love him. But is love enough when it comes with this much danger? This much insanity? Only you can answer that, sweetheart. I looked out at Michael, still sitting alone on the porch, the weight of his mother's illness heavy on his shoulders. And I realized that this wasn't just about whether I could handle Patricia's obsession. It was about whether Michael could handle it. Whether he was strong enough to choose me over the guilt, over the obligation, over the lifetime of manipulation that had convinced him he was responsible for his mother's happiness. Because Patricia was right about one thing. This was war. And we were about to find out who would win. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those photos. Patricia in a wedding dress. Patricia spray painting our venue. Patricia with keys to our home, staging a fantasy wedding in our living room while planning her own death. At 6 a.m., I gave up pretending to sleep and went downstairs. My father was already in the kitchen making coffee. Couldn't sleep either? He asked, pouring me a cup. I shook my head. Dad, can I ask you something? Anything, sweetheart. When you married Mom, was there ever a moment where you thought it might not be worth it? That the obstacles were too big? He was quiet for a moment, stirring his coffee thoughtfully. Your mother's parents didn't approve of me. I was too young, too poor, didn't have good enough prospects. Her father told her she could do better. Her mother cried at our wedding. He smiled sadly. But that was different. They eventually came around. They accepted me. This situation with Patricia. Sarah, this isn't about acceptance. This is about mental illness and obsession. So you think I should walk away? I didn't say that. He sat down across from me. I think you need to be honest with yourself about what life with Michael means. It means constant vigilance. It means possibly years of Patricia being in and out of hospitals, in and out of your lives. It means Michael carrying guilt that isn't his to carry. It means your children, if you have them, never having a normal grandmother. He reached across and took my hand. It means choosing a harder path than you have to. But it also means choosing love. Does it? Or does it mean choosing to fight for love? Because there's a difference, Sarah. Love should add to your life, not subtract from it. Before I could respond, Michael appeared in the doorway. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept at all. His eyes were red and swollen. The hospital called, he said hoarsely. She's awake. She's asking for me. My father stood up. I'll give you two some privacy. After he left, Michael sat down in the chair he'd vacated. He didn't look at me. I have to go see her, he said. I know. She tried to kill herself, Sarah. In our apartment, wearing a wedding dress. His voice broke. She's my mother. No matter what she's done, she's still my mother. I understand. Do you? He finally looked at me, and the anguish in his eyes was almost unbearable. Because I'm not sure I do. I'm not sure I understand any of this. How did it get this bad? How did I not see it? You did see it, I said gently. You just didn't want to believe it. I should have protected you better. I should have cut her off months ago. I should have. Michael, stop. This isn't your fault. Isn't it? His laugh was bitter. I'm the one who kept making excuses for her. I'm the one who kept saying she'd change, she'd come around, she just needed time. And meanwhile, she was stalking us, photographing us, planning God knows what. You couldn't have known it would go this far. But I knew something was wrong. Deep down, I knew. And I chose to ignore it because facing it meant. He trailed off, staring at his hands. Meant what? Meant accepting that my mother is sick. That she's been sick for a long time. That maybe she was never the person I thought she was. We sat in silence for a moment. Through the window, the sun was starting to rise, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. A beautiful morning, completely at odds with the nightmare we were living. I'm going to the hospital, Michael said finally. I need to see her. I need to understand. I'll come with you. No. He said it quickly, firmly. She can't see you. It'll only make things worse. The doctors said seeing you could trigger another episode. Another episode. As if his mother's psychotic break was something routine, like a headache or a cold. Okay, I said quietly. But Michael, whatever happens at that hospital, whatever she says to you, you need to remember something. This isn't about choosing between her and me. This is about choosing what kind of life you want. What kind of person you want to be. He nodded, but I could see he wasn't really hearing me. His mind was already at the hospital, already with his mother. After he left, my mother came downstairs. She'd obviously been listening from the stairs. He's going to forgive her, she said softly. It wasn't a question. I know. And you're going to let him. What choice do I have? She's his mother. He has to work through this in his own way. My mother sat down beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. Sweetheart, I need to say something, and I need you to really hear me. Michael is a good man. I believe that. But good men can still make bad choices, especially when they're drowning in guilt and obligation. You need to decide what your boundaries are. What you will and won't accept. Because if you don't decide that now, you'll spend the rest of your life being pushed past boundaries you never wanted to cross. Are you saying I should leave him? I'm saying you should know what you're saying yes to. Because if you marry Michael after all this, you're not just marrying him. You're marrying into this chaos. You're saying you're willing to live with the constant threat of Patricia's instability. You're saying you're willing to sacrifice your sense of safety for love. And maybe that's a sacrifice worth making. But maybe it's not. Only you can decide. I spent the next 3 hours thinking about my mother's words. About boundaries and sacrifices and what kind of life I wanted. At 11 a.m., Michael called. How is she? I asked. Sedated. Confused. She keeps saying she doesn't remember last night. That it's all a blur. He paused. The doctors say she had a full psychotic break. That the delusions had been building for months, maybe years. They want to keep her for extended treatment. Possibly months. How do you feel about that? Another long pause. Relieved. Guilty for feeling relieved. Sad. Angry. Everything all at once. Did you talk to her? Yeah. She. I heard him take a shaky breath. She cried. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't mean for any of this to happen. That she just loves me so much and couldn't bear the thought of losing me. There it was. The manipulation, even in the hospital bed. Patricia positioning herself as the victim, as the one suffering, as the one deserving of sympathy and forgiveness. What did you say? I told her she needed help. That I loved her, but I couldn't keep doing this. That she'd crossed lines that couldn't be uncrossed. And she asked if the wedding was still happening. My heart stopped. What did you tell her? I said I didn't know. Sarah, I told her I needed time to think. Time to think. About our wedding. About us. About whether love was enough to overcome the nightmare his mother had created. I see, I managed to say. Please don't be angry. I can't think straight right now. Everything's too much. I need some time to process all of this. How much time? I don't know. A few days. A week. I just need to figure out what to do. About her, about us, about everything. After we hung up, I sat staring at my phone. A few days. A week. He needed time to decide if he still wanted to marry me. My mother was right. This was the moment. The moment where I decided what my boundaries were. What I would and wouldn't accept. I could wait. I could give him time, be understanding, be patient. After all, his mother had just attempted suicide. Of course he needed space to process. Or I could recognize this for what it was. The beginning of a pattern. Michael choosing his mother's feelings over our relationship. Michael asking me to wait, to understand, to compromise, while Patricia's needs always came first. I called my maid of honor, Jenny. She'd been my best friend since college, and she'd been watching this whole Patricia nightmare unfold with increasing horror. "Tell me what to do," I said when she answered. "You already know what to do," she replied. "You just don't want to do it." "I love him, Jen." "I know you do. But sweetie, love isn't supposed to feel like drowning. It's not supposed to require you to sacrifice your safety, your sanity, and your self-respect." His mother just tried to kill herself. His mother just tried to manipulate him using the ultimate guilt trip. And it's working. She's still controlling him, still pulling his strings, even from a hospital bed. I knew she was right. Deep down, I'd known since last night. Patricia would never stop. Even with treatment, even with therapy, even with medication. She would always find a way to insert herself between Michael and me. She would always be there, a shadow over our marriage, a constant source of chaos and danger. And Michael would always feel guilty, always feel obligated, always ask me to understand, to be patient, to give him time. How much time? How many years of my life would I spend waiting for him to choose me over her? That afternoon, I went back to our apartment with Officer Martinez and another officer. They'd cleared it as safe, though Patricia's spare keys had been confiscated. Walking into our home felt surreal. Everything looked normal on the surface, but knowing what had happened here, what Patricia had done, made it feel contaminated. The candles were still there, half melted. The flowers now wilting. And in the center of our living room, the wedding dress Patricia had been wearing. It was from a thrift store, yellowed with age, the lace torn in places. But she'd altered it, made it fit her body, had probably been working on it for weeks. "We need to document everything for the case," Officer Martinez said gently. "But after that, you can clean up." I walked through our apartment in a daze. In the bedroom, I found more photos. Patricia had been in here, going through our things. There were pictures of her holding my wedding dress, the one that was now destroyed at the venue. Pictures of her lying in our bed. Pictures of her standing where I stood every morning. She tried to inhabit my life, to become me, so she could be with Michael. In that moment, I made my decision. I couldn't do this. I couldn't spend my life looking over my shoulder, wondering if Patricia would have another episode. I couldn't bring children into a world where their grandmother was obsessed with their father in a way that wasn't natural or healthy. I couldn't ask Michael to choose between his mother and me, because I already knew the answer. He would try to choose both. He would try to make everyone happy. And in the process, everyone would be miserable. Love wasn't enough. It had never been enough. When Michael came back that evening, I was sitting in my parents' living room, surrounded by wedding binders and planning documents. "Hey," he said softly, sitting beside me. "I've been thinking." "I can't marry you," I interrupted. He stopped mid-sentence, his face going pale. "What?" "I can't marry you, Michael. I can't do this." "Sarah, please. I know the last few days have been insane, but we can get through this. Once Mom gets treatment, once she's stable." "And then what?" I cut him off. "She gets out of the hospital, and we all pretend this never happened? We invite her to Sunday dinner, and hope she doesn't have another episode? We have kids and teach them to avoid grandma when she's having a bad day. It won't be like that. The doctors said with proper treatment. The doctors can't promise anything, and you know it. Michael, your mother is obsessed with you. Romantically. That's not something that just goes away with a few months of therapy. So what are you saying? That I should just abandon her? She's my mother, Sarah. She raised me. She sacrificed everything for me. I'm not asking you to abandon her. I'm saying I can't be part of this. I can't spend my life competing with your mother for your attention. I can't live in fear that she'll have another break, do something worse next time. I can't do it, Michael. I won't do it." He was crying now, tears streaming down his face. "Please don't do this. Please. I love you. I'll do better. I'll set stronger boundaries. You'll try," I said gently. "You'll try so hard. And every time she calls crying, every time she has a crisis, every time she needs you, you'll feel obligated to respond. Because that's who you are. That's the person she raised you to be. And I love that about you, Michael. I love that you're loyal and caring and responsible. But I can't be married to someone whose first loyalty will always be to his mother. That's not fair. Isn't it?" I opened one of the wedding binders, showing him the timeline we'd created. "Look at this. In the 6 months we've been planning this wedding, how many decisions have we made without your mother's input? How many times have you stood up to her when she was being unreasonable? How many times have you chosen me over her?" He couldn't answer. Because we both knew the truth. I'm giving you permission, I said softly, taking his hand. I'm releasing you from having to choose. You can take care of your mother without the guilt of knowing you're neglecting your wife. You can help her get better without resenting me for standing in the way. You can be the son she needs you to be. I don't want permission, he choked out. I want you. I want our life together. I want our wedding and our future and our family. So do I whispered, my own tears falling now. But not like this. Not with Patricia always there, always between us. I deserve better than that, Michael. And so do you. What if she gets better? What if the treatment works and she becomes normal? I smiled sadly. Then maybe we'll find our way back to each other. But I can't wait for a maybe. I can't put my life on hold hoping your mother will change. I'm 29 years old. I want a family. I want a partner who chooses me first, every time, without hesitation. And right now, you can't be that person. I can change. I can. You can't change for me, I interrupted. You have to change for yourself. You have to want to set boundaries with your mother because it's healthy for you, not because I'm asking you to. And until you do that, until you really understand why her behavior has been so toxic, we can't be together. We sat in silence for a long time, holding hands, crying together for the future we were losing. Finally, Michael stood up. I should go. Where will you stay? Hotel, I guess. I can't go back to the apartment. Not yet. Michael, I called as he reached the door. I do love you. I need you to know that. This isn't about not loving you enough. It's about loving myself enough to walk away from something that will destroy me. He nodded, unable to speak, and walked out into the night. I sat in that living room for hours, surrounded by wedding plans that would never come to fruition. Thinking about the dress I'd never wear, the vows we'd never exchange, the life we'd never build. My mother came and sat beside me, holding me as I cried. You did the right thing, she whispered. Then why does it feel so wrong? Because love doesn't stop just because it's not enough. But sweetheart, you just saved yourself from years of pain. Years of fighting. Years of wondering if you'd ever come first. That takes incredible strength. Maybe it did. Or maybe it was just self-preservation. Either way, the wedding was off. The relationship was over. And Patricia, even from a hospital bed, had won. Or had she? Because as I sat there, something shifted inside me. A realization that had been building since the moment I saw those photos on Patricia's wall. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Patricia had declared war. She'd tried to destroy my wedding, my relationship, my sense of safety. And I'd been so focused on trying to make peace, trying to be understanding, trying to be the bigger person. But maybe it was time to stop being understanding. Maybe it was time to fight back. Not for Michael. He'd made his choice, or rather, he'd proven he couldn't make one. But for me. For my reputation that Patricia had tried to destroy with her mass message. For my career that she'd tried to sabotage by contacting my principal. For my wedding dress, my venue, my home that she'd violated and destroyed. Patricia thought she'd won. She thought by making me walk away, she'd gotten what she wanted. She had no idea what was coming. The next morning, I woke up with a clarity I hadn't felt in months. Maybe it was the relief of decision-making, or maybe it was just pure, righteous anger finally breaking through the fog of confusion and heartbreak. I made a list. Not a wedding planning list this time. A war strategy list. Patricia had committed crimes. Multiple crimes. And I was going to make sure she faced consequences for every single one. I called Officer Martinez. I want to press charges. For everything. The stalking, the vandalism, the breaking and entering. All of it. Ms. Coleman, I understand you're angry, but you should know that given Ms. Henderson's mental state, most of these charges will likely result in court-ordered treatment rather than jail time. I don't care about jail time, I said firmly. I care about documentation. I care about a legal record that shows exactly what she did. Because this isn't over. She's going to get out of that hospital eventually, and when she does, I want there to be consequences waiting for her. All right, Officer Martinez said, and I heard a note of approval in her voice. Come down to the station this afternoon. We'll get your full statement. Next, I called my insurance company about the destroyed wedding dress. Then the venue's event coordinator to discuss their liability for the break-in. Then my landlord about changing the locks on our apartment and installing a security system. My mother watched all this with raised eyebrows. What are you doing? I'm done being a victim, I said. Patricia tried to ruin me. She tried to make me look unstable, unreasonable, crazy. And I let her, because I was so focused on trying to smooth things over for Michael's sake. But Michael's not my problem anymore. So now I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth about what she did. Sarah, my mother said carefully, I support you standing up for yourself, but revenge isn't going to make you feel better. This isn't revenge, Mom. This is accountability. There's a difference. But was there? I couldn't tell anymore. All I knew was that the thought of Patricia facing real consequences for her actions was the first thing that had made me feel even remotely okay since this nightmare began. That afternoon at the police station, I gave a statement that took over 2 hours. Every detail, every incident, every boundary crossed. Officer Martinez took notes, occasionally stopping me to ask clarifying questions. The text messages from the unknown number. Do you still have those? All of them. And the photos from her house? I took pictures of those with my phone before we left. Good. That's very good. She looked up at me. Ms. Coleman, I have to tell you, this is one of the more disturbing cases of erotomania I've encountered. The level of planning, the surveillance, the fantasy wedding at your apartment. This wasn't a momentary break. This was systematic delusion that had been building for a long time. Will she go to prison? Probably not. Her lawyers will argue she's not competent to stand trial. She'll likely be held in a psychiatric facility until the doctors determine she's no longer a danger to herself or others. But with your testimony and all this evidence, there will be a restraining order. She won't be able to contact you or Mr. Henderson. She won't be able to come within 500 feet of either of you. What if she violates it? Then she will go to jail, regardless of her mental state. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. That evening, I got a call from Michael. Sarah, what did you do? What are you talking about? The police were just here. They said you're pressing charges against my mother. That you gave a statement. That you're going to testify against her in court. Michael, she committed crimes. Multiple crimes. She's sick, Sarah. She's in a hospital. She needs treatment, not prosecution. She needs both, I said firmly. Michael, she stalked us. She vandalized property. She broke into our home. Those are crimes, regardless of her mental state. So you're just going to destroy her life completely? Wasn't breaking off our engagement enough? His words stung, but I pushed past the pain. I'm not destroying her life. She did that herself. I'm just making sure there's a record of what she did. So the next time she targets someone, there's a history. The next time? Jesus, Sarah, you make her sound like a serial killer. Don't you get it? I snapped. This isn't the first time she's done this. What about Emma? Your college girlfriend? Did you ever wonder why she really left? Maybe it's because your mother made her life hell, and you were too blind to see it. Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, Emma said Mom called her. Sent her letters. But I thought she was exaggerating. I thought she was just looking for an excuse to end things. And now, more silence. I don't know what to think anymore. Michael, I need you to understand something. This isn't about punishing your mother. This is about protecting myself and protecting whatever poor woman you date next, and protecting you from a cycle that's been going on your entire life. Your mother is sick, yes, but she's also dangerous. And until she gets real, long-term treatment and proves she's changed, she shouldn't be around you. Or anyone. She's my mother, he said, his voice breaking. I can't just turn my back on her. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to hold her accountable. There's a difference. He hung up without saying goodbye. Over the next week, things got complicated. Patricia's lawyer contacted me, trying to negotiate. They wanted me to drop the charges in exchange for Patricia agreeing to long-term psychiatric care and staying away from both Michael and me. I met with my own lawyer, a sharp woman named Rebecca Chun who specialized in restraining orders and harassment cases. Don't drop the charges, she advised. Once you do, you lose all leverage. If she violates the restraining order later, having a criminal record makes enforcement much easier. But what if this drags Michael through a trial? What if it hurts him more than it helps? Rebecca looked at me seriously. Sarah, you need to stop thinking about protecting Michael. He's a grown man who's had 32 years to set boundaries with his mother, and chose not to. You tried to protect him, tried to preserve that relationship, and where did it get you? A destroyed wedding, a violated home, and a broken engagement. It's time to protect yourself. She was right. Of course she was right. But knowing she was right didn't make it hurt any less. 2 weeks after I ended the engagement, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Sarah? The voice was female, uncertain. This is Emma. Emma Richardson. I don't know if Michael ever mentioned me. My heart started pounding. His college girlfriend. Yeah, I heard about what happened. Through mutual friends. And I needed to call you. I needed to tell you that you did the right thing. We talked for 2 hours. Emma told me everything. The phone calls at 3 a.m. from Patricia, screaming that Emma was ruining Michael's life. The letters accusing Emma of being a gold digger, of trying to trap Michael, of not being good enough for him. The way Patricia would show up at Emma's dorm, at her classes, at her work-study job in the campus library. She told me that Michael would never really love me, Emma said, her voice still carrying the pain of a decade-old wound. That I was just a phase. That once he realized what he was giving up, meaning her, he'd come to his senses. And the worst part was, Michael never fully believed me about how bad it was. He'd say I was overreacting, that his mom was just protective, that she'd calm down eventually. She never did she? No. She escalated. Started following me. Taking photos of me. Sound familiar? God, Emma. I'm so sorry. I wish I'd known. Would it have changed anything? Would you have believed it if someone told you before you experienced it yourself? She had a point. I probably would have thought they were exaggerating, just like Michael had. After I left, Emma continued, I heard through friends that Michael was devastated. But you know what? Part of me always wondered if he was devastated about losing me, or devastated that he had to face the truth about his mother and chose not to. It's easier to blame the girlfriend who left than to confront the mother who drove her away. Do you think he'll ever change? Emma was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. Maybe hitting rock bottom will wake him up. Maybe losing you will make him finally see what his mother has been doing to his life. Or maybe he'll find another girlfriend, and the cycle will repeat. I hope not. I really do. Michael is a good person. But good people can still make terrible choices when they're blinded by guilt and obligation. After we hung up, I felt validated in a way I hadn't before. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. Patricia had done this before, and she'd do it again if given the chance. 3 weeks after the engagement ended, Patricia was released from the psychiatric hospital into a long-term treatment facility. The restraining order was officially filed. She was not allowed to contact Michael or me. She was not allowed near our homes or workplaces. Michael called me when it happened. She cried when they told her about the restraining order. She said you'd turned me against her. That you'd ruined her life. Michael, I said tiredly, I need you to hear what you just said. Your mother, who stalked us, destroyed our wedding venue, broke into our home, and staged a fake wedding to you in our living room before attempting suicide, is claiming that I ruined her life. Do you hear how insane that sounds? Silence. Then, I know it's insane. But she's still my mom, and seeing her like this. I can't do this anymore, I interrupted. I can't keep having this conversation where you understand intellectually that your mother is sick and dangerous, but emotionally you still feel responsible for her happiness. Michael, until you work through this, really work through it, with a therapist who specializes in enmeshed family dynamics, we can't even be friends. Because every conversation we have just pulls me back into the chaos. So that's it. You're cutting me off completely? I'm setting a boundary. Something I should have done months ago. I love you, Michael. I probably always will. But I love myself more. And that means protecting myself from people who can't protect me, even when they want to. I did want to protect you. I tried. You tried to protect both of us. Me and her. And in trying to protect everyone, you protected no one. Goodbye, Michael. I hung up and blocked his number. Then I cried for 3 hours straight. But when the tears stopped, I felt lighter. Like I'd finally put down a weight I'd been carrying for far too long. 1 month after the engagement ended, I went back to our apartment to collect the last of my things. I'd been staying with my parents, and while they insisted I could stay as long as I needed, I knew it was time to find my own place. A fresh start. The apartment felt like a museum of our relationship. Our photos still on the walls. His books mixed with mine on the shelves. The coffee maker we'd bought together sitting on the counter. I was packing up my clothes when I found it. Hidden in the back of my closet, behind my winter coats. A box. Inside were more photos. But these were different. These were from before I met Michael. Photos of him with Emma. Photos of him with other girlfriends I'd never heard of. 3 different women, all labeled in Patricia's handwriting on the back. Not right for my Michael. Gold digger. Trying to take him away from me. Patricia had been doing this for over a decade. Every woman Michael dated was photographed, documented, and systematically destroyed. And under all the photos was a letter, addressed to Michael but never sent. I knew I shouldn't read it, but I couldn't help myself. "My dearest Michael," it began. "I know you think you love these girls, but you're wrong. The only person who will ever truly love you, who will ever understand you, who will ever be worthy of you, is me. I gave birth to you. I raised you. I sacrificed everything for you. You are mine. Not theirs. Mine. And I will do whatever it takes to make you see that. One day you'll understand. One day, you'll thank me for protecting you from these women who only want to use you. One day it will just be us again, the way it's supposed to be. The way it's always been meant to be. Your mother, forever and always, Patricia." The letter was dated 5 years ago. 5 years. Patricia had been planning this, nurturing this delusion, for at least 5 years. I took photos of everything with my phone, then called Officer Martinez. "You need to see this," I said. When she arrived and saw the evidence, her expression was grim. "This changes things. This shows premeditation, long-term stalking, a pattern of behavior. Sarah, this isn't just erotomania. This is an obsessive delusion that's been festering for years. The DA is going to want to see this." What does it mean for Patricia? It means the court is going to take this much more seriously. It means her release from the treatment facility is going to be contingent on extensive evaluation. And it means that if she ever comes near you or Michael again, she's going to jail. No questions asked. I should have felt victorious. I should have felt validated. Instead, I just felt sad. Sad for Michael, who'd grown up with this woman as his only parent. Sad for the women before me who'd been driven away without understanding why. Sad for Patricia herself, whose mental illness had consumed her entire life and destroyed her relationship with her son. But mostly I felt grateful. Grateful that I'd gotten out before I became another casualty of Patricia's obsession. 2 months after the engagement ended, my divorce from Patricia's chaos was nearly complete. The charges were filed. The restraining order was permanent. My things were moved into a new apartment across town. A fresh start in a building with excellent security and no memories of Michael or his mother. I was having coffee with Jenny when my phone rang. Unknown number. I'd learned to never answer those anymore. But then a voicemail popped up. From Michael. "Sarah, it's me. I'm calling from a friend's phone because I know you blocked me. I'm not trying to violate your boundaries, I promise. I need you to know something. I started therapy. Real therapy, with a specialist in family enmeshment and emotional abuse. And I'm starting to understand things. Things about my childhood, about my relationship with my mother, about why I kept making excuses for her behavior. Things I should have understood years ago." He paused, and I could hear the emotion in his voice. "You were right about everything. About her. About me. About us. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for not protecting you, for not believing you, for choosing guilt and obligation over love. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect anything from you. I just wanted you to know that you breaking off the engagement was the wake-up call I needed. It forced me to finally look at my life, really look at it, and face some hard truths. So thank you. Thank you for loving yourself enough to walk away. Thank you for being stronger than I was. And thank you for pressing charges, even though I fought you on it. Because you were right. My mother needs help. Real help. And she won't get it unless there are consequences. I hope you're happy, Sarah. I hope you find someone who chooses you first, every time, without hesitation. You deserve that. You deserve everything." The voicemail ended. Jenny looked at me. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing," I said, deleting the message. "I'm going to do absolutely nothing." "You're not even going to respond?" "Jenny, Michael is finally doing the work he should have been doing all along. And that's great. I'm genuinely happy for him. But me being in his life, in any capacity, would just be a distraction from that work. He needs to do this for himself, not for me. And I need to move forward with my life, not wait around hoping he'll change." "Do you still love him?" I thought about that question. Really thought about it. "I love who I thought he was," I finally said. "I love the potential of who he could become. But I don't love the reality of who he is right now. And I can't build a life on potential." 3 months after the engagement ended, I was finally starting to feel like myself again. I'd redecorated my new apartment. I'd taken up pottery classes on weekends. I'd even been on a few dates, though nothing serious. Most importantly, I'd stopped looking over my shoulder. Stopped jumping at every unknown number. Stopped worrying that Patricia would suddenly appear. And then, one ordinary Tuesday, I got an email from Officer Martinez. Sarah, I wanted to let you know that Patricia Henderson has been transferred to a long-term psychiatric facility in another state. Her doctors have determined that she requires intensive, ongoing treatment for her delusional disorder. She won't be eligible for release for at least 3 years, and when she is eventually released, there will be strict conditions, including continued treatment and adherence to all restraining orders. I thought you'd want to know that you're safe. You did the right thing by pressing charges and following through. Take care of yourself. Officer Martinez. 3 years. Minimum. I sat at my kitchen table, reading the email over and over, and finally allowed myself to feel something I hadn't felt in months. Relief. It was really over. Patricia couldn't hurt me anymore. Couldn't hurt Michael anymore. Couldn't hurt whatever woman came into his life next. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I could breathe. 6 months after the engagement ended, I ran into Michael at a coffee shop. It was early on a Saturday morning, and I was meeting Jenny to go over plans for her upcoming baby shower. I was standing in line, scrolling through my phone, when I heard a familiar voice ordering a black coffee, 2 sugars. I looked up, and there he was. He looked different. Thinner, maybe. Tired. But there was something else too, something in the way he carried himself. Less weight on his shoulders. More presence in his own body. Our eyes met. For a moment, neither of us moved. "Hi," he said quietly. "Hi. Can we talk? Just for a minute." I glanced at my watch. Jenny wouldn't be here for another 10 minutes. 1 minute. We sat at a corner table, our coffees between us like a demilitarized zone. "You look good," Michael said. "Happy. I am happy. Mostly. I'm glad." He stared into his coffee. "I've been in therapy 3 times a week. Working through everything. I heard. You left me that voicemail. I know you deleted it. I don't blame you." He looked up at me. "Sarah, I owe you an apology. A real one. Not the ones I gave you before, where I apologized but made excuses. Not the ones where I asked you to understand, to be patient, to give me another chance. Just an apology. I waited. I failed you," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "I knew my mother's behavior was wrong, and I chose to minimize it because dealing with it was too hard. I chose my own comfort over your safety. I chose avoiding conflict with her over building a real partnership with you. And when you tried to set boundaries, I made you feel like you were being unreasonable, when really you were being the only reasonable person in the situation." "Yes," I said simply. "You did all of those things. My therapist helped me understand something. My mother didn't just have a mental breakdown. She's been emotionally abusing me my entire life. The way she made me responsible for her happiness, the way she isolated me from other people, the way she positioned herself as the only person who truly loved me. That's not normal parenting. That's abuse. And I internalized it so deeply that I couldn't even see it. I felt tears prick my eyes, but I blinked them back. Michael, I'm really glad you're getting help. Truly. But I can't be part of your healing journey. That's something you have to do alone. I know. I'm not asking for another chance. I'm not asking for anything except for you to know that I understand now. I understand what I put you through. I understand why you left. And I understand that you saved both of us by doing it. Saved you how? If we'd gotten married, with me still in denial about my mother, with me still unable to set boundaries. Sarah, it would have destroyed us both. You would have grown to resent me. I would have grown to resent you for making me choose. We would have ended up divorced and bitter and broken. Instead, because you were brave enough to walk away, I was forced to face things I'd been avoiding my entire life. Have you seen your mother? He shook his head. The restraining order doesn't allow it. But even if it did, I don't know if I would. My therapist says I'm not ready. That I need to heal from the abuse before I can have any kind of relationship with her, if I ever can. She says some people can reconcile with their abusers, but only from a position of strength and clarity. And I'm not there yet. Do you think you'll ever be there? Honestly, I don't know. Part of me still feels this obligation, this pull to fix her, to help her, to be the son she needs. But I'm learning that those feelings are part of the abuse pattern. I'm learning that I can't fix her. That I was never responsible for her mental health or her happiness. That, he paused, swallowing hard. That it's okay to protect myself, even if it means disappointing her. That's big, I said softly. It's terrifying, he admitted. Everything I've believed about myself, about my purpose, about what it means to be a good son and a good person, It's all being challenged. Some days I feel like I'm losing my mind. Other days I feel clearer than I've ever felt. It's a process. We sat in silence for a moment. Jenny walked in, saw us, and tactfully sat at another table, giving us space. Sarah, Michael said, I know I have no right to ask this, but are you okay? Really okay? I thought about his question. Was I okay? I'm getting there, I said honestly. I have nightmares sometimes. About your mother showing up at my door. About her breaking into my apartment again. I jump when I get calls from unknown numbers. I'm hypervigilant in ways I never was before. My therapist says it's a form of PTSD, and that it will fade with time. I'm so sorry, Michael whispered. I'm so sorry she did that to you. That I let her do that to you. I know you are. I stood up, needing to end this conversation before I broke down. Take care of yourself, Michael. Keep doing the work. Keep healing. And maybe one day, you'll be ready for a healthy relationship with someone who deserves the best version of you. What about you? He asked, standing as well. Do you think you'll ever be ready for a relationship again? After everything. I smiled, and it was genuine. I'm already ready. Because here's what your mother didn't understand. You can't destroy someone by trying to destroy their happiness. You can only make them stronger. I know what I deserve now. I know what healthy boundaries look like. I know what red flags to watch for. And I know that I'm strong enough to walk away from anything that threatens my peace, no matter how much I love the person. That's really good, Sarah. I'm glad. Goodbye, Michael. Goodbye. I walked away from that table, from that conversation, from Michael, and I didn't look back. Jenny joined me as I walked out the door. You okay? She asked. Yeah, I said, surprised to realize it was true. Yeah, I really am. 1 year after the engagement ended, I got a letter. Not from Michael, but from Patricia's treatment facility. My hands shook as I opened it, afraid of what it might contain. But it wasn't from Patricia. It was from her primary psychiatrist, Dr. Sarah Whitmore. Dear Ms. Coleman, it read, I am writing to inform you that Patricia Henderson has been making significant progress in her treatment for delusional disorder and borderline personality disorder. As part of her therapy, she has been working on taking accountability for her actions and understanding the harm she caused to you and her son. She has written a letter of apology to you, which I am enclosing. Please know that you are under no obligation to read it, respond to it, or have any contact with Ms. Henderson. The restraining order remains in effect. This letter is simply part of Ms. Henderson's therapeutic process of making amends. If you choose to read it, please do so in a safe environment, preferably with support nearby. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Dr. Sarah Whitmore. I stared at the second envelope, Patricia's handwriting on the front. Just my name. No address needed since it was enclosed in the doctor's letter. I called Jenny. Patricia wrote me an apology letter. Should I read it? Do you want to? I don't know. Part of me is curious. Part of me is terrified. Part of me just wants to burn it and pretend it never existed. Those are all valid responses, Jenny said. There's no right answer here, Sarah. Whatever you decide, I support you. I ended up calling my therapist, Dr. Morgan, who I'd been seeing regularly since everything happened. The question isn't whether you should read it, Dr. Morgan said. The question is what you hope to gain from reading it. Are you looking for closure? Validation? An acknowledgement of the harm that was done? Or are you afraid that not reading it means you're being cruel or unforgiving? Maybe all of those things. Then let me ask you this. Do you need Patricia's apology to move forward with your life? I thought about that. No, I don't. I've already moved forward. I'm already healing. Whether or not she's sorry doesn't change what happened or how I feel about it. Then you have your answer. I kept the letter. I didn't read it, but I didn't destroy it either. I put it in a box in my closet, along with the police reports, the court documents, and the photos from that horrible night at Patricia's house. Evidence of what happened. Proof that I wasn't crazy, wasn't overreacting, wasn't making it up. Maybe one day I'd read Patricia's letter. Maybe one day I'd be curious about what she had to say. But that day wasn't today. Today I had other things to focus on. Like the date I had that evening with Daniel, a middle school history teacher I'd met at a professional development workshop. He was kind, funny, and when I'd cautiously told him about my broken engagement, not all the details, but enough, he'd listened without judgment and said, "That must have been incredibly difficult. I'm glad you got out safely. Not she can't be that bad, or surely you're exaggerating, or family is complicated. Just acknowledgement and compassion. We'd been seeing each other for 3 months now. Nothing serious yet, but there was potential. And this time I was going slowly, watching carefully, making sure his actions matched his words, making sure there were no red flags, no boundary violations, no signs of the chaos I'd escaped. 2 years after the engagement ended, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. For a moment, my heart stopped. Was Michael getting married? But no. The invitation was from Emma, Michael's college girlfriend. The one who'd called me after Patricia's arrest to share her own horror story. We'd stayed in touch, bonded by our shared experience of surviving Patricia's obsession. She'd become a good friend, someone who understood the specific kind of trauma that came from being targeted by someone else's delusion. And now she was getting married, to a woman named Claire who she'd met in veterinary school. The ceremony would be in Portland, where Emma had built a life far away from the memories of Michael and Patricia. I RSVP'd yes immediately and bought a plane ticket. At the wedding, watching Emma and Claire exchange vows, I felt genuine happiness. Emma had found her person. Someone who chose her first, without hesitation. Someone whose love didn't come with impossible conditions or dangerous complications. During the reception, Emma and I found a quiet corner to talk. I heard Michael's doing better, she said. Mutual friends say he's still in therapy, still working on himself. Good for him, I said, and I meant it. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if things had been different? If Patricia had been normal? I thought about that. Sometimes. But then I remember that Patricia being who she has shaped Michael into who he is. You can't separate the two. The man I fell in love with was, in part, created by his mother's abuse. The loyalty, the guilt, the inability to set boundaries, those weren't bugs in his programming, they were features. And until he completely rewrites that programming, he'll never be able to have a healthy relationship. Do you think he'll ever get there? Maybe. I hope so. But it's not my job to wait around and find out. Have you heard anything about Patricia? She's still in the facility. Apparently, she's made progress, but the doctors don't think she'll ever be fully cured. The delusion is too deeply rooted. The best-case scenario is that she learns to manage it, to recognize when she's spiraling and seek help before she acts on it. But she'll never be safe to be around Michael unsupervised. That's so sad, Emma said. It is. Mental illness is always sad. But it's also not an excuse for abuse. Patricia made choices, even within the framework of her illness. She chose to stalk us. She chose to vandalize property. She chose to try to destroy our lives. And she has to live with the consequences of those choices. Emma raised her glass. To surviving Patricia Henderson. I clinked my glass against hers. To surviving and thriving. 3 years after the engagement ended, I got married. Not to Michael. Not even to Daniel, though we'd dated for almost a year before realizing we were better as friends. I married James, an architect I'd met at a charity fundraiser for my school. He was calm, stable, and when I'd told him the full story of Patricia and Michael, something I'd learned to do early in relationships, to gauge how men responded to the reality of what I'd been through, he'd said, "That sounds terrifying. How did you find the strength to walk away? Not you should forgive her, or family is complicated, or maybe you were too harsh. Just recognition of my strength and survival." Our wedding was small. Just close friends and family. We got married in my parents' backyard, with my mom's roses in bloom and my dad officiating. There were no surprise guests. No drama. No chaos. Just love and joy and the simple pleasure of committing to someone who chose me, every day, without hesitation. Jenny was my maid of honor, 8 months pregnant with her second child. Emma flew in from Portland. Even Officer Martinez came, having become an unexpected friend over the years. As I stood at the makeshift altar, looking into James's eyes, I thought about the wedding that never happened. The venue that had been destroyed. The dress that had been ruined. The future that had been lost. And I realized I wasn't sad about any of it. Because that wedding, that future, would have been built on a foundation of dysfunction and delusion. It would have been beautiful on the surface and rotten underneath. This wedding, this future, was built on something solid. On honesty and boundaries and mutual respect. On a man who had a healthy relationship with his own family and understood the importance of protecting our little unit above all else. I wasn't the same person I'd been 3 years ago. That Sarah had been naive, desperate to please, willing to compromise her own well-being for the sake of keeping the peace. This Sarah knew better. This Sarah had battle scars and hard-won wisdom. This Sarah knew what she deserved and wouldn't settle for less. Patricia had tried to ruin my wedding. In a way, she had. But in the process, she'd also given me something invaluable: the knowledge of my own strength. The understanding that love isn't enough without respect, trust, and safety. The certainty that I could survive the worst and come out stronger. As James and I exchanged rings, I silently thanked Patricia. Not for what she'd done, but for what she'd inadvertently taught me. She'd tried to break me. Instead, she'd forged me into someone unbreakable. 5 years after the engagement ended, I got one final letter. This one was from Michael. I almost didn't open it, but curiosity got the better of me. "Dear Sarah," it read, "I don't expect you to respond to this. I'm not even sure you'll read it, but I needed you to know some things. I've been in therapy for 5 years now. 5 years of unpacking trauma, unlearning toxic patterns, and rebuilding myself from the ground up. It's been the hardest thing I've ever done. Harder than I imagined anything could be. But I'm getting there. I'm becoming someone I can be proud of. Someone who understands boundaries, who can identify manipulation, who knows the difference between love and enmeshment. My mother is still in treatment. I've seen her a handful of times over the years, always with a therapist present. The visits are difficult. She's made progress, but the delusions haven't fully gone away. She still believes, on some level, that you stole me from her. That our relationship was special and sacred and destroyed by outside forces. The doctors say she may always believe that, at least partially. I've chosen to maintain very limited contact with her. Supervised visits a few times a year, always with professional support. It's not the relationship I once thought we had, but it's the only relationship that's safe and healthy for both of us. I wanted you to know that I never blamed you for pressing charges. You were right to do it. You were right about everything. And I'm sorry it took me losing you to finally understand that. I've started dating again. Slowly. Carefully. My therapist thinks I'm ready for a healthy relationship now. I'll never know for sure until I try, but I'm more self-aware than I've ever been. I can recognize the old patterns when they surface. I can catch myself before I fall into people-pleasing or avoiding conflict or putting someone else's needs above my own well-being. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness or closure or anything from you. I'm writing because you deserve to know that the wake-up call you gave me, the hardest, most painful wake-up call of my life, wasn't wasted. I heard it. I answered it. I changed. I hope you're happy, Sarah. I hope you found someone who gives you the love you always deserved. The love I couldn't give you because I was too broken to recognize what real love looked like. Thank you for being strong when I was weak. Thank you for protecting yourself when I wouldn't protect you. Thank you for being the catalyst for the change I needed. With gratitude and respect, Michael. I read the letter twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in the box with Patricia's unopened letter and all the evidence from 3 years ago. That chapter of my life was closed. Those wounds had healed, leaving scars that reminded me of my strength, but no longer hurt to touch. I was happy. Really, genuinely happy. I had a husband who adored me. A career I loved. Friends who supported me. A life that was peaceful and stable in mine. Patricia had tried to ruin my wedding. She'd tried to destroy my relationship, my reputation, my sense of safety. She'd failed. I'd survived. I'd thrived. I'd built a beautiful life from the ashes of the one she'd tried to burn down. And that was the best revenge of all. If you're watching this because you're dealing with a toxic in-law, or because someone in your life is trying to control your relationship, I want you to hear this. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. You are not being too sensitive. Trust your instincts. Set your boundaries. Protect your peace. And if someone can't respect those boundaries, even someone who's supposed to love you, it's okay to walk away. It's okay to choose yourself. Love should never require you to sacrifice your safety, your sanity, or your self-respect. I learned that the hard way. But I learned it. And now, 5 years later, I'm living proof that you can survive the worst and build something beautiful on the other side. Patricia tried to ruin my wedding. Instead, she taught me what I truly deserved. And for that, I'm almost grateful. Almost. If this story resonated with you, if it helped you feel less alone in your own struggle, or if you just want to share your own story, drop a comment below and subscribe for more. Your story matters. Your struggle is valid. And you're stronger than you know. This is Sarah signing off. Remember, you deserve love that lifts you up, not love that tears you down. Never settle for less.